called on the Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs Department to place the municipalities that have failed to pay their overdue Eskom debt under financial administration. Sanco expressed disappointment with the municipalities in the Free State, Northwest, Mpumalanga and the Northern Cape that owe Eskom more than 10 billion rand. And in a recent court application to disconnect municipalities from the grid, the organization says people could not be victimized due to maladministration. We're joined now by Sanco spokesperson Jabulani Mahlangu to reflect on this and, of course, to respond to the minister who's just spoken to Francis. Good evening to you, and thank you for talking to us from our Cape Town studios. I mean, these are staggering amounts that you heard from the minister there, as much as 16 billion rand, 10 to Eskom and nearly 7 billion rand to the various water boards. What's your reaction?
Well, indeed, as Sanco, we've raised our concern around the malfunctionality of municipalities. It should not be a complex matter. Look, if you render services to people, you should be keeping your accounts appropriately, serve them on time, and if there are people are not paying, you have measures that you have to take, measures that you've got to invoke and get your monies back. In the same vein, municipalities receive their supplies from Eskom. If they don't pay, Eskom has got obligations not only to supply municipalities, but also to pay their debt to the creditors. And therefore, that whole system should be oiled. It should not be a difficult thing to do. If you have systems in place, surely you should be in a position to take appropriate actions. But you also have other players in the space. For instance, the MECs for COCTA and Finance, the Minister for COCTA and Finance have constitutional responsibilities if municipalities fail to carry out their fiduciary responsibilities. First of all, they have a responsibility to assist them, failing which they should invoke Section 139 and take over the powers, put systems in place and correct the situation, because what we cannot afford is a situation where people suffer because of people that are embedded in corruption, mismanagement, and indeed some of them who do not have the necessary qualifications. Look, we are talking about Tshwane today, where officials have been exposed that have been employed, they don't have qualifications. You have litigations that are happening between municipalities and their authorities. You have situations where municipalities are unable to take decisions for years. I mean, we are prepared as Sanco to engage the minister further. If we could find opportunities and avenue, permanent arrangements where we could meet with the minister and raise certain suggestions to him, but also above the situations that we're confronted with, one of the biggest problems we're facing is that there is not sufficient investment in municipalities. Not that people don't want to invest. We have local investors, we have foreign investors, but the time it takes for municipalities to take decision is so long that people get discouraged. I mean,
Jabulani,
investment.
I'm going to have to come in there.
In South Africa, in our municipalities.
Jabulani, I'm sorry to cut in on you. I'm going to have to come in just to iron out some of the things, some of the points you are making. When you talk about municipalities and I suppose the lack of capacity they have to deal with the myriad of problems so many of them face, let's talk about the case for political will to deal with these things. We've seen some of the actions you are describing being taken in the Northwest. We've now got that province virtually under administration. But a lot of the considerations that have gone into that decision, critics will say, were about the politics of the Northwest rather than dealing with service delivery concerns, because a number of those issues have been flagged by, say, the Auditor General for some time now, for many years, in fact, with no action being taken.
Well, we hold a view as Sanco that there are areas where there's political interference, but municipalities have got an explicit mandate to be preoccupied with service delivery. The examples that the minister have raised were monies that would have expected, that we would have expected to be used for service delivery. They are taken taken and invested in a mutual bank, some of them are likely not to come back to those municipalities. It's mismanagement.
Yes,
so
but that's my point. That's my point. That's my point, Jabulani.
On their swords.
Jabulani, that's my point. We've known about some of these decisions. When those municipal deposits were being made to VBS Bank, that was known. There were no particular interventions to deal with it. The Northwest, as I say, is an example where the Auditor General has flagged issues for quite a long time and has blamed the Office of the Premier for failing in its oversight role. And yet now, because the province has issues with the head office at Luthuli House, we're seeing interventions that we should have seen a long time ago. Is there political will to deal with these situations?
Well, indeed, people who are given responsibilities to carry out certain decisions, if they fail to do, surely our people should be having recourse. But indeed, I would say there is no political will. It's either people get flat-footed when they have to act, and it's a problem. And the people that suffer the most in this regard becomes our people.
Salga has come out to say that, you know, as far as they're concerned, it's not just the municipalities, but quite often it is residents who themselves are not paying, for example, and that's why various municipalities are racking up these large amounts of debt. Your response to that?
Well, you know, I have been involved in, as MEC for local government and housing as a person. I've run Mpumalanga when days were difficult. At one stage, Mpumalanga they were leading the country in clean audits. As to what happened to those systems that were put in place, those people should know. I mean, we were able to pool municipalities. I think at one stage we were left with only 2 municipalities that couldn't get clean audits. But today, as I speak to you, all those gains have been reversed. So what happened? There was no political will or political. I mean, people failed to take decisions. But in certain places, people that were qualified were displaced and replaced with cronies, people who are politically connected, and people, some of them who do not have the necessary qualifications. If the minister were to get the audit of who do we have across the country, who are our CEOs, who are our CFOs, who are our whoever, people that run those departments, just evaluate whether they have what it takes. In most cases, no. Because we cannot afford to continue to run our municipalities with the political appointees if those people do not have the necessary qualities to carry out their responsibilities.
In the meantime,
so politicians must take responsibility.
In the meantime,
indeed,
though,
if there are criminalities and mismanagement, indeed.
I was saying, in the meantime, though, we've seen Eskom threatening.
I missed you there.
In the meantime, we've seen Eskom threatening a tough stance against some of these municipalities with proposals, for example, for 14-hour-a-day power cuts. It's the residents who are going to suffer for the kind of mismanagement you're describing.
The minister spoke to the matter earlier on. I'd like to take that thing further. Look, if I pay my bills, either as a resident or a business person, and the municipalities are unable, through their credit system, to pay over to Eskom, I can't be held liable. Look, South Africa, as a constitutional country, I have constitutional recourse. My rights, our people's rights, cannot be interfered because of mismanagement. So my view is that Eskom indeed has a right to get their monies, but we believe that the best situation out of the problem is that the Minister of COCTA, together with the Minister of Finance, must invoke Section 139 on the aspect of financial management. Put systems there, establish whether municipalities are owed, and if they are owed, why are they not paid? Approach business, speak to business, engage them. Business is always willing to engage because they know if electricity is off, they lose customers. But we also have hospitals, you've got traffic cycles, If you switch off, you run the risk of having accidents. You run the risk of people losing their investments. You run people disinvesting. So it's a very, very important thing. And the minister's work is cut out. The Minister of Culture, Minister of Finance work is cut out. They need to engage with business. They must go there and meet business. They must go there and meet municipalities. They must go out there and meet organized civic formations. And perhaps they may actually find very easier solutions to go around these problems.
All right, that was Sanco spokesperson Jabulani Mahlangu in our Cape Town studios.